It's summertime and the drinking is easy. Today we are talking all about fabulous summer wines. Let's do it. Hi everyone, I'm Erin Henderson from the Wine Sisters. Welcome to our YouTube channel where we teach you how to eat, drink, and entertain like a pro. Today we're talking all about summer wines, and I actually wanted to do this on my balcony, which is beautifully decked out for summertime. But you know what also happens in summertime? Construction is going on all around, so you may be the lucky recipients of hearing the buzzing of hacksaws and jackhammers, because that's what I've been dealing with all day. Time to get drinking. So the first part about what we're talking about is people ask me all the time, hey Erin, you're a sommelier. As a sommelier, what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite wine? And I always have to say, look, I love all my children. There's a time and a place, and quite a lot of it in my life, for all of the 3,000 grapes in the world. But I thought today what might be kind of interesting and kind of fun is to talk about summer wines that maybe go a little bit off the beaten path. Why is this? Well, sometimes you just want to break out of that rut. Like, as much as I love the Pinot Grigios and the Sauvignon Blancs and the Unoaked Chardonnays, all of those beautiful summer thirst quenchers, sometimes you just want to shake it up a little bit, because not only does it allow you to open up some new dimensions to your eating and drinking and food pairings, not only do you get then some new ideas for your taste buds, but it also provides a bit more of a conversation piece, which is always fun to show up to your cocktail party with a new bottle of wine that no one's tried and say, hey, and have a little bit of a story about it. So today I picked out 5 wines that are on heavy rotation on my cocktail circuit. Now, of course, with the 3,000 grapes that exist in the world, well, clearly you have a whole breadth of selection. This is just 5. We're not even scratching the surface, but I think these are going to get you off to a roaring start. So we're going to start with the whites, because of course it's summertime and you need those beautiful patio sippers. So I've got here 2 Italian, 1 Greek. This one right here is our Pecorino. This is from Santovi. Pecorino, which is not the cheese. Probably when you think about Pecorino, you're probably thinking about Pecorino Romano. That's a cool story that I'm going to get to in just a second. Pecorino, the wine, is a white grape that's grown in lots of places in Italy. This particular one comes from Abruzzo. Now, what makes Pecorino, or what gave Pecorino that name, or Pecorino cheese that name, is that where they're growing, the sheep were roaming the fields and munching on these delectable grapes. You can't really blame them, it's a free lunch. So as the sheep were eating all of the Pecorino grapes, they obviously gave milk to what became the Pecorino cheese, and then the cheese was named after the wine. So that's kind of how they're associated. But Pecorino as a wine itself, it's one of my favorites. You can serve it really crisp and really cold. It's got a mid-weight to it with really bright acidity, which gives it an amazing amount of food flexibility. And the flavors sort of range from a kind of beautiful herbaceous element, a little bit of floral in some cases, like I think more along the lines of like chamomile and that kind of floral, sort of field flowers. And as well, there's a nice minerality that's happening here from the terroir of where the Pecorino is actually grown. And because of that elevated acidity that I was talking about, you can have it go with so many things. Classics would be tomato salads or tomato sauces. The Pecorino cheese, of course, something salty and nutty. So you could also put out other cheeses, things like Parmesan or even Beemster. Those would go really nicely with this wine. And you can also do something along the lines of a kind of fresh seafood. It's summertime, maybe you're dockside sipping, maybe you're patio sipping, but a nice little raw bar would be brilliant here. And after this, we go to Verdicchio. Now, Verdicchio sort of has an ebbed and flowed in and out of fashion. And, you know, just like any wine, sometimes you can get wines that are of better quality and sometimes of less. But we're starting to see more and more. I'm living in Ontario, so we're starting to see more and more high quality Verdicchios sort of hit the market. This one comes from the Marche, not too far from the water. And so you get this really beautiful salinity to the wine. It's sort of like a blanched almond. There's an oily texture, like an olive oil kind of mouthfeel to it. And there's also, of course, that bright citrus, a mixture of lemon and lemon peel, a little bit of orange if you sort of go into that kind of flavor profile, maybe a little bit of grapefruit for a little bit of that pleasing bitterness. And again, we've got this kind of really crisp, cold, poolside drinking wine that can go with all kinds of things. So think about your cocktail parties, shrimp cocktails, fresh oysters. Think about things like even pestos that have that kind of herbal element to it, and beautiful spring vegetables that come out around here. All of that greenness goes really nicely with Verdicchio. So I'm not going to say that this is a stand-in for Sauvignon Blanc or Gruner Veltliner or any of those other herbal-driven wines that we see a lot in the summertime, but this certainly is a contender to really pair with some of those nice green elements of your food. Really lovely. For those who look for something that's a little bit weightier, something that offers a little bit more aromatic complexity, this from Greece, this is called Moscovalero, which I probably never pronounce correctly because I don't speak Greek, but I'm gonna say Moscovalero, sorry. This is grown in a lot of areas around Greece, mostly from the Peloponnese. So this is a really great aromatic variety, something that goes, could be compared to something like a Viognier or even a Gewürztraminer. We've got a nice mid-weight happening here, and think flavors of peach and honeysuckle, a lot of exotic spice, as well as some rose water. There's a lot of beautiful complexity in the wine, which means it can stand up really nicely to complex foods. Things like sushis and foods that are heavily flavored with Asian influences, brilliant. Works really great here. You also can do things classically Greek. What goes together grows together. So maybe you're throwing some lemon chicken on the barbecue, or maybe you're going to do a little bit of a pork loin. These are all fantastic complements to a wine like this. But I know what you're also thinking. It's summertime, and not only is the drinking easy, so is the grilling. So what are you gonna pair when you wanna have something really rich and robust to go on with your barbecued meats? Here's a nice little option as well. Here we've got the Planeta. This is the Nerodabola. Nerodabola is easily the most prolific or important grape of Sicily. Sicily obviously being a hot and sort of stony-based island just off the mainland of Italy. Nerodabola is deep and rich. It's dark-skinned. It throws really deeply colored wines, and it has those same kind of robust flavors of deep fruit as well that you want to have in it. This is your perfect barbecue wine. Everything that you could possibly throw on a grill. Burgers and steaks and ribs, but that's no one-trick pony. It can also go with a few other things as well. If you want to do some braised meatballs, if you want to do eggplant parmesan or veal parmigiana, even if you wanted to go the seafood route, now you do have to be a little bit careful, pay attention to your sauces and your spices, but with hearty fishes like grilled tuna steak, seared salmon, with the right kind of spices and flavorings, this could make a really nice option for you. And last but certainly not least, a wine that I love to bring to my summer pool parties is Frappato. We're still in Sicily here. And Sicily, this one, Frappato, it's a bit more of a rare grape. We don't see it as often, but this is quite light. It's quite fresh. It's full of tart red fruit. This is the kind of wine that, as a red, you can put it in the fridge for 10 minutes, certainly not chilling it within an inch of its life. Just give it a slight cool edge, chill it down a little tiny bit, and it really goes the distance. So it's a red wine that can be refreshing for sipping poolside, but because it's so light and it has that beautiful acidity to it, it goes with so many of your summer foods as well. Think things like when you're grilling peppers or your sausage and peppers if you want to keep it kind of Italian style. If you want to do really simple grilled meats like lamb chops or even filet mignon, that would work out really nicely. But you could also do some roast game birds or just your simple roast turkeys and chickens. There's a lot of flexibility here with this lightness of a red wine. That's just a few of the wines that we're talking about for summertime, but it's sometimes fun to tiptoe off the beaten path a little bit. Go exploring, go traveling through a glass and see what you come up with and see the food pairings, and maybe you end up picking up a few new favorites as well. Again, we're talking about Pecorinos and Verdicchios and Moscovaleros, and we've got the Nerodabolas and the Frappatos. Hopefully these I've introduced you to something new or reminded you of something that you wanted to check out or tried in the past and want to try again. These are terrific for your summertime table, and I really hope you enjoy them. So guys, my name's Erin. I'm from the Wine Sisters. If you like this, please give us a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. What are you drinking this summer? What are you pairing it with? I'd love to know more about that. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. We're going to be back next week with more great food and wine pairing tips, so I certainly hope you'll stick around. And to do that, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the bell so that way you get notified every time a new video comes out every single week. That's it for now, guys. Happy drinking.